I just cannot dwell anymore in lack.
Yeah. And I didn't think in my head that I fit in. That used to make me always wonder that am I odd? Am I weird? And what's up with me? Something in me was searching for something which I wasn't finding in school, and I found my own little refuge to find it.
Okay, and how much of this spiritual energy you carried back into your work?
I think everything is born out of it. Like writing for me is almost meditative, and if I don't do it with that right feeling, I feel very weird about it coming out, and it never reaches people. Yeah.
It becomes a trigger for you to shift from that position. Instead of taking a position of lack,
I just flip it.
Your life is completely surrounded by spirituality.
I think so. And then every time I moved away from the center, it felt disturbed and restless.
So you knew okay,
and every time I came back, it felt aligned. We did the brain scan, and it came as like a stage 4, grade 4, horrible brain cancer. And he's like, your mother is a conqueror. She's going to fight this. There's no God that works or doesn't work. It's your faith that makes your God work.
And the more spiritually you grow, the success power follows you.
It does.
Chases you like crazy.
It does.
Okay, so welcome, Megha.
Thank you so much, Elsha. Very excited to be here.
We are super excited, and some world out of stories, but your life is very, very deep and wide, and it's almost like a big scripture.
Glad you caught that.
I caught it right.
Yes, you did.
Okay, so we're going to start with the first chapter of this big scripture.
Sure.
And we'll go back in your childhood a little bit.
Yes.
To get to know you a little more.
Sure.
Take us down.
Yes. Grew up at Nepean Sea Road in a huge joint family.
Okay.
I think a lot of this, what you say about the deep scripture actually began there, because when you're living under the same roof with almost 24 people and you're the youngest, most notorious one, it gives you a lot of life lessons, I would say. So I think one of the first things I realized growing up was that a feeling of love and oneness was not just something that I grew into. I had to have it. Like, you never knew who was sharing your clothes. You never knew, I have a sandwich like on my plate. Few minutes later, I'm just looking away and some brother or sister would have taken it away. So sharing or loving or oneness, I think, was almost something that was a given in our house. And not that it didn't have its fair share of fights and things as well, but I think I just got a lot of opportunity to watch people across ages, across stages in a very deep way. And I think that impacted me and the writer in me and the seeker in me in a very significant way.
Yeah. Okay. So, like very warm sort of an environment in which you are with people, observing
not
life.
always warm.
Not always warm. all shades, all colors,
all
and
shades,
all weathers.
All shades, yeah.
So that also gave you the texture of life.
It did,
right?
Yeah, it did.
I was reading a bit about you, and where you mentioned that the early childhood was also a childhood when it was a bit lonely.
Yes.
And you discovered your peace in certain corners.
Absolutely.
You want to share a bit about that?
Yes. So I went to a very wonderful school called J.B. Pettit High School for Girls, where it's like Education World has been rating it as the top school for women, girls, from the past 20 odd years.
Lovely.
Yeah. So all the who's who kids used to be there. And I think I was probably a very strange child in, the whole setup. And I didn't think in my head that I fit in. In fact, I feel a lot closer to them now, than I did while growing up. And that used to make me always wonder that am I odd? Am I weird? And what's up with me? So I think I found a lot of solace in bunking school. And we had this staircase that would go down, and and we had one staircase which would go up to the terrace.
Okay.
So I would happily say bye to my mom and like, oh yeah, leave at the same time as school, And instead of going, I'd go
You
down
go back up.
and then she'll close the door, go back, sit on my terrace, and it used to face the sea. And there was this rusted old tank. I'll just sit on that the whole day. And this was quite odd like I'm talking about when I was 7 years old, which is not very normal for a child to be doing that. But I would go and I would time it and come back at the exact time. And what a sincere truant I was, that even I would eat my break at the time that the school would have its break.
Okay.
So, and I would just sit. I mean, how often have you heard of a 7-year-old girl sitting for 7 hours on her terrace, all alone and at more peace than I would be with 30 odd people? So I think there was always some strains of, spirituality or seeking, even at a very young age. So, yeah, I did have these little corners.
So these were like one-off cases, or
very regularly. Till
regularly?
I got caught.
And how did you get caught?
The teacher called up and said that,
kya ho raha hai?
Yeah, like she's not been well for a very long time, and is everything okay? My mom's like, no, she goes to school every day, and that's how they connected.
The connection
the dots.
happened.
Yeah.
And then what happened to you?
She was quite sweet about it. Like, my mother's always been like a best friend, so she wasn't like, she didn't beat me or anything, but she was just like, why?
Curious.
Yeah. Not that she understood it, but yeah.
Okay.
But the bunking became a little lesser after that.
Okay. So the bunking and going up there, what was going on in the mind of the 7-year-old?
This feeling that I don't think I fit into a crowd, and just being alone, opening a notebook and taking a pencil. I don't think we'd even moved to a pen, and just scribbling rubbish. To me, at that time, it seemed like rubbish. I don't know those books yet, but I would just ask, like, so where's the sun coming from? What causes the waves? And I would just write my thoughts. And so it was just random. Like, I think I just found solace. Like, even at that age, something in me was searching for something which I wasn't finding in school. And I found my own little refuge to find it.
Your own little schooling you were doing for yourself.
For myself.
And
under the sun.
Under the sun, a 7-year-old, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, and for 8 hours.
Yeah, 8 hours.
I literally remember 7:30 to 2:30, I would go back home. And
the background emotion to support all this was joy.
It was a seeking.
A seeking.
I think it was just
you
that
didn't know exactly what it is.
Yeah, I don't think it was joy. I don't think it was disturbance. It was just this, I don't think this is for me. So let me find something there.
Okay.
And it made me immensely happy.
Okay. And you also mentioned I didn't fit in.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
The conversations and nothing to put them down, but nothing of what was going on in school, even the structured learning of like, 1 hour of math, 1 hour of English, it just did not attract or draw me. Like, in fact, I never fell in love with English in an English period.
Okay.
I fell in love with English through myself, like just writing and scribbling and exploring it, So yeah, I think.
Did somebody spot that in you? Like while you were doing all of this?
No, they didn't.
Nobody did?
No.
So it was a secret diary?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't even know if it was a diary. I was just musings of a 7-year-old. Yeah.
Okay. And after that, how did this continue, this passion,
so then, then things happened, and a lot of incidents in school, I think, shaped me. The very good ones, also the very bad ones, very scary ones. And
like,
so this one time where I was bullied for my fault, I told a lie. So I don't think I had a clear demarcation of fantasy and reality as a child.
Okay.
So it would mix very easily. So like, someone asked me, what did you do on the weekend? I'd be like, I went on a unicorn. And and to me, it was very real, because in my head, but I didn't know that this is a lie. And somehow no one really told me. And, so I had to learn the hard way. So I told a lie about something. And I remember like a whole gang of girls literally like surrounding me, and it was so scary. Like today I laugh, but that time it was so scary. And like, and they were like, so and very nastily they were asking me questions, and I just went home and I was like, I'm never going back to school again. So it was a very different journey of. Also, I would like come to the rock bottom academically if I didn't feel like it, and if suddenly one year I felt like, oh, why don't I top? I'll top.
Okay.
So I had that a little crazy genius, if you want to call it, is what they used to call me. Is that streak was there where it was never like this. It was always like this, like this, like this. That was.
So what was taking you away from academics then?
Just the boring. Yeah. No, I just thought it was too boring for me. I just didn't get excited enough. But when I did get excited, or when I felt like, hey, this is साल मम्मी को proud करते हैं, then I'll go and talk.
Okay.
And literally,
पर अपने लिए नहीं कर रहे थे, वो मम्मी के लिए कर रहे थे.
Yeah, I didn't care much about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did you know that what you're seeking is called spirituality? And
it happened when I was 16. I'd just gone through my first heartbreak, and I didn't know how to deal with the emotion of, oh, I've gone through a heartbreak, and I didn't know who to talk to. So there was a library at Nepean Road called Shamaru, this little crooked thing. And I went there and I was like, I didn't know what I was even looking for. And I found a book called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. And I sat on my terrace, the famous terrace, and I read the whole book. And I had tears. I was so absorbed in it. Like it felt like I am conversing with God. And I remember when I closed the book and it was sunset, and I literally, quite dramatic, but like even now I feel like I could cry just thinking of that moment. But I just had this tear and I was like, oh God, so you really exist.
Oh.
And that moment was so defining for me. Like, like it really was a moment.
And it was a series of books he wrote, right?
Yeah,
the same
but
title.
I never connected to any of the others. It was somehow...
It was the first one you picked up.
Yeah, the first book, and it just did something for me.
Okay. Yeah. Lovely.
Yeah.
I'm glad it did. And after that?
Life kept happening, and I think when I was around 23 is when I first heard of my guru, Mahatria. And if you ask me, like the proper induction into spirituality, etc., happened for me with him. And I bunked an exam, like a very important exam in Sophia's. I was in Sophia's that time. And I bunked a very important exam because I just felt he's calling me for a program. And no one could explain it. And my parents were like, but if you miss this, you may not get your certification and whatever. And I was like, no, he'll take care. And they were like, what do you know about this person and how will he take care? But actually he took care and nothing really happened. And like somehow I just, flew through it, the whole thing. But I remember like he's in Chennai and all of us like had gone in a big troop in a train, in fact. And we were at the station and there was noise and everyone was being greeted. And like, it's a very celebrative organization. Okay. So it's not...
What is it called?
It's called Infinitheism. Okay. And as silent as he is, he's also very dynamic. In fact, he says that your peak dynamism is what, comes from the most deepest silence. So it's an organization of this and that. It's a path of this and that. So there was a lot of drums and we were being greeted, and I'd already started writing to him. Writing words have always been like my most natural expression.
Way of expression.
So I started writing, and he used to run a magazine called Infinite Thought. So I used to write for that. And I was just there and I feel a tap and I turn around and this man in a red t-shirt and blue jeans. And obviously I knew it's Mahatria, but he just looked at me. He's like, you write very well. And like the moment I looked at him, something shifted in me forever. Like, of course, I've had my own journey of growing into the whole thing and into the path. But in that moment, the whole energy of within me shifted and something new. He is going to be one of the most important relationship of my life.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Tell us a bit about him.
He is divine, is the only way to describe him. He's the most The most contemporary, so I used to write for Life Positive, and I used to write for a lot of spiritual magazines, and that got me in touch with a lot of gurus, got me
Sure.
very close access to a lot of
Sure.
gurus, and I've gone through a lot of things before I reached him. He is, it's like coming home. Like he's so practical, so scientific. Like he'll explain God to you as a science.
Okay.
And yet he'll give you the experience of God in his spiritual retreats, which to me has been the most cleansing and purifying experiences that I've ever gone through.
Sure.
I've experienced miracles with him which are completely beyond the human comprehension, which kept on reiterating my faith in him and telling me somewhere I'm right, somewhere I'm going
Sure.
right.
Do you want
Also,
to share a bit about it?
I will.
Okay.
Yeah. As we go
Yes,
along.
sure.
I think, and like I said, like his whole philosophy is built on this and that. So he drives a BMW, and he also experiences, like in his presence, we all experience the depths of silence.
Yeah.
So he's not someone who will tell you give up your relationships. He's married with 3 children.
Okay.
So, everything about him is so real and yet so unreal, which really appeals to me, because I don't want a guru who tells me drop everything, because that just wouldn't work for me.
Sure.
I mean, I think I want to find myself in this world only, So also year after year, the inner cleansing and therefore the materialistic growth I've seen for myself outside has all been a reiteration that this works, this and that works. Yeah.
Okay. So when you say this and that, it means the duality?
Yeah. It means that spirituality and materialism need not be two
in conflict.
Yeah. Like in fact, there's an image of him where in one image his eyes are open and in one it's closed. So he's saying that
this has to be in tandem.
Yes.
So that's sort of become a doctrine for you, right?
Yes.
So you have sort of endorsed that in your life.
Completely.
And there was something about having faith beyond religion.
Yes.
What does that exactly mean?
So his whole philosophy is that, we're all fighting about God.
Yeah.
Right? So much. And he says that there's no God that works or doesn't work. It's your faith that makes your God work.
Okay.
So for the first time, I heard this from him, that in the pyramid, it's actually God. And we think, oh, that's the biggest, the highest, right? But above God is faith. So it's your faith that's making God work, you know? So his whole concept is that you're thinking this Ganesha temple's working, but it's your faith in that Ganesha temple that's working. Why is Jesus Christ working for one and not for the other? It's not, it's their faith that's working. So he's kind of turned the whole equation around from God to you and saying that you have the faith and all the gods will work. You don't have the faith, nothing's going to work. It's like that.
And how does he define faith?
Anything that you have that complete surrender to.
Lovely. So you found your master in your 20s.
Yeah, I did. Very early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what shift did it bring pre and post? Like if I call about a contrast, because that's what it seems like.
It like completely, because like I told you, that feeling out of place was a very
constant feeling.
Yeah, it was a feeling like I don't think I belong. And the moment I met him and this world, I felt like this is me. So if I have to give you a reference, a literary reference, what Harry Potter would have felt with his those parents, versus when he finally went to Hogwarts. I think that's literally like how I felt. Like I was like, oh, so I thought I was the weird one, but there are many more weird ones, and this is also normal, is what I went through.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And how much of this spiritual energy you carried back into your work?
I think everything is born out of it. I don't think I can never say as a writer, I can never write an article or a story or even a poem that doesn't resonate with that energy. Like even if I try, I'll actually fail or I'll feel miserable. Like writing for me is almost meditative. And if I don't do it with that right feeling, I feel very weird about it coming out, and it never reaches people. Like, and anything that comes from the depths of my being just reaches people so beautifully. In fact, I have to tell you this, that as I was coming to this space, like something in me was blossoming so much that I'm going to meet you. I didn't know, I don't know you, I don't, know of you. And I purposely didn't read about you because I just wanted to have this virgin experience. But a soul blossoming was happening, telling me that something very beautiful will happen for both of us. So
lovely.
yeah.
Lovely. That's very sweet of you. See, there's a lot of inner work which I can see, right?
Yeah.
which has been happening inside.
Yeah.
And you have found a good balance of what you're doing outside, because outside also is all spiritual work.
Yes.
So your life is completely surrounded by spirituality.
I think so.
Right?
Yes, it is.
Like, let's say somebody like me right now, I've spent my world in like duality because I've had like a career in content industry for 25 years. And then parallelly, I pursued my interest in yoga, meditation, breath work, coaching, all of that. I always felt that this is supporting this world.
Yeah.
And some point it will converge.
Yeah.
And maybe this is the time it started converging. Now I can see that it's all coming together. But for you started there.
Yeah.
Right?
I think the duality for me existed till I was 23, till I met him. Till then, I was absolutely in a split. Like I knew this is what I wanted, but the whole world's going this way. So I always felt I'm really strange. And that's not a good feeling to live with. Like today, it sounds very normal, but growing up, it never felt easy. And to top it off, I had a sister who's the perfect social butterfly, fits into everything.
Okay.
Always the topper, never had that crazy up and down journey like me, always like everything perfect about her. So
the worldly perfect.
Yeah, I think yes. So I stood out more like a sore thumb than ever before.
In contrast.
Yeah.
Okay. How are you feeling now?
About life?
Yes.
Very excited, very beautiful, very a sense of I worked so hard. Nothing, honestly, I wouldn't say anything's come that easy. It's like I've had to strive for whatever, like the inner work, the outer work, everything. So I feel proud, I think, of where I've come, and I feel very excited about where I'm going because I think I've just done so much, and I feel a very deep sense of deserving for the really big things of life.
Absolutely.
For the first time, actually. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your first project, which was on cancer patients, right?
Yes.
What motivated you?
So my mom was diagnosed in 2005 with breast cancer.
Okay.
And that's when the whole journey, I mean, we'd never heard the word cancer. It was always in movies and something that happened to someone. And when I wanted to, again, like find my ease, like for me, it's always been important that, okay, whatever's going on outside, you need to find some kind of an inner balance or strength to deal with it.
Okay.
And to find that, sometimes you're looking within, sometimes you're looking outside. And so I went to that same book library and I went everywhere. I went to Crossword, and there were books which gave me a lot of medical information, but nothing that told a 23-year-old girl how to deal with
the situation like
so
this.
In fact, like I met my guru, and 2 months later, my mom was diagnosed. So it was literally so beautiful that
the timing.
I think he just came to kind of protect me from the whole blow of, whatever.
Yeah.
So I really think that was existential timing and not something that any of us could have planned. But so yeah, I mean, I was like, since there was no book that was giving me any solace, I was like, then I should write one. There's no other solution to it. So the book's called Thank You Cancer. And it's actually a whole journey of a lot of people who went through cancer, completely beat it, conquered it, and came out like with flying colors. So my mom had it in 2005, and you spoke of miracles. So let me get into that.
Sure.
And she got out of that. And that time I was just getting to know my guru. And I don't think faith really played a role it was all like, okay, keep doing what I have to do. And in 2012, she was again really unwell. And this time it looked like a lot more serious, like she was just losing weight, like a kg a day. And it was just getting mental. And we were like so scared. We were like, when cancer is in the background, you don't want to think, but somewhere. And because she was not able to even eat like a little bite, we thought that maybe it's stomach. So I remember like my sister and I were very close, and she like took her for the stomach scan, and she's a doctor. So she's like, make her clear. So I was like, wow. And my mom's like, but my head's paining. And that's when we did the brain scan, and it came as like a stage 4, grade 4, horrible brain cancer. Like literally the doctor sat us down, and the doctor was my mama. Like he knew us. He's my mom's, so-called brother, whatever, namesake brother. So he drew one circle, then he drew another big circle.
Yeah.
He's like, this is the brain, this is the tumor. So he's like, she's got 3 months to live, and that's what it is. And I just got married, and Nidhi was also just married, and we were like so nubile and like so.
Yeah.
For us, like always, I think the mother is the world, right?
Correct. And mothers are always strong, and mothers are like,
she's like she was a beautiful soul. So it was very heartbreaking, and we were like, whatever. And all this is going on. And like you talk about the inner outer, from the doctor saying, my dad's in tears, Nidhi's in tears. And from within, a voice tells me.
Yeah.
And by that time, I got really deeply connected to my guru. And his voice tells me, wait, don't react. And the doctor's doing all this, and I'm listening to this. I'm watching them cry. And within, there's this silence. Wait, don't cry. Call me. And I'm like, okay. And I don't like I have had his number, but I've never he's not a real, it's not like, hi, what's up, right? So it's a very deep relationship of respect. But that day I broke that and I actually called him.
Okay.
And he was in some place and he didn't pick up the call that time.
Yeah.
And he called back. He's like, tell me. So I was like, Mahatre, mom's been diagnosed with stage 4, grade 4 brain cancer. And he was like, there was silence. And Nidhi's holding my hand, okay? And he's known to tell people when to prepare. So like, we've known of people where he's like, get prepared.
Okay.
So Nidhi's like holding my hand. Like I remember that grip, like she's like clawing her nails into me. And I'm like, wait, let me hear, And there was a moment's silence and we're like, we don't know what. And he's like, your mother is a conqueror. She's going to fight this through. That's it. And doctor's saying 3 months. He's saying this. And for me, his word is the ultimate. Like, there's no science and there's no logic once he said something. So it's like, it's okay. And Nidhi was still like, what did he say? Did he say we have to get ready? I was like, no, he said she's going to make it.
And this is happening while the doctor's in front of you.
The doctor
There's some
was
verdict.
not in, his verdict's there and this all is happening. And then the next day, there's another scan that happens. Everything changes and the doctor realizes that big tumor is a lot of swelling.
Yeah.
There is a huge golf-sized tumor, but also in an area which can be operated.
Oh.
Everything just shifted. Okay, we can't, there's no logic.
Uncontrollable to something
like
can be controlled.
Can be done. And the doctor himself, when he's operating, he's like, see, so much depends on her, how she'll take it. So it was supposed to be a 2-hour operation, ended up being 8 hours. And she comes out of it and she also connected to my guru. And his thing is, how are you? I'm on top of the world. So that's why, like, even when we were talking, I was like, I'm on top of the world. So she's coming out of the operation theater in that total, anesthetic state. And he's like, how are you? And she's like, and he looked into my eyes and he's like, you know what, this lady's something else. I'm telling you, I told you 3 months. I'm extending it. I don't know how many, but I'm extending it. To, cut a long story short, after that, for 10 years, she's trekked the Himalayas. She's come for HDBs, which are like our spiritual retreats, which are very physically intense. Like 7 more she's done.
Okay.
She's done everything. Like she's lived her life. She's been on CNBC. She's been on Humans of Bombay, because it's unheard of that a stage 4, grade 4 cancer can be conquered. So, and she used to go and inspire people, and we lost her ultimately in June 22. which
Sorry to
was,
hear that.
like a good 10 years of having fully lived her
Fully
life.
lived her life.
And never been hospitalized, never went to a doctor again.
God bless her soul.
Yeah. So,
But amazing miracle, yeah.
It is. So,
yeah.
And I mean, the number of people who got inspired by her miracle was amazing, Shaija, because people are like, we've not heard of such a thing. So the fact that you're living and talking to us tells us that, oh, it's possible. You know? So,
Wow. And so your entire family obviously
follows
is connected.
him. Yes.
Is connected to him.
Yes.
Okay.
That's been a very big saving grace. And the biggest was that my husband has like the exact same surrender that I have for him, which just makes things so much easier.
Okay. Yeah. So, do you have any technique which you follow
while meditating? Or?
Yeah.
So he always says this beautiful sentence. He's like, the highest technique is no technique.
No technique.
Yeah.
Tell me.
So there are lots of ways. Like the whole concept is that right now there are many thoughts.
Yeah.
You have to bring it to one thought. And from one, you have to move to none. That's where you will have a spiritual experience, right? So many to one, there are hundreds of ways, right? Like you can chant. Right now, we both are absolutely in one. Like I have no other thought than you, and I'm sure vice versa. So we're already many to one. The one to none, I think, depends so much on each individual. So for me, it's just that I have to just think of like him embracing me and I'll sleep. Sometimes music does it for me. Sometimes dancing does it for me. Sometimes writing does it for me. So I think he's left us to choose our one to none rather than saying do this. Many to one, there are hundreds of tools available.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's nothing stipulated, but there is a philosophy.
Yeah.
And there is an approach, but not a specific technique.
Actually, just listening to his voice, a lot of us experience
You experience that.
Yeah. And even collectively, I've seen like, if you ever attend a talk of his in the auditorium, you can see the collective silence that just comes in.
And maybe, I mean, you would know this better, but is it that everybody, the way they are receiving is different?
Yeah.
And it's meant to be different as a technique for everyone. Hence, maybe he hasn't created a single one.
Exactly.
One size doesn't fit all, perhaps.
Which is why he says that faith is beyond religion. Because if you give it that one, you'll only keep looking for it in one.
And then you can also get stuck there.
Very stuck and very limited. Like for a lot of people, like he's not even allowed us to anchor us in him.
Because which all masters do mostly.
And if that master falls, then where are you left?
Yeah.
And how many scams happen like with gurus? You hear scams which shake you to the core, right?
True that.
Yeah.
So more the philosophy, it's about teaching in your own experience.
It is,
right?
Yes.
I've seen and I've heard like more true masters really don't want people or disciples to run after the physical body.
Yeah.
Because that's attachment. That's another form of attachment, which is not really the spiritual path then. But as long as you are for the philosophy and the teachings and, whatever the divine energy which you're connected with,
right,
then that sort of takes you ahead.
Yeah.
You worked on a very interesting project, Breakthrough.
Yes.
Breakthroughs?
Yes. The Breakthrough. Yeah.
A Breakthrough.
Yeah.
Which was about they were real stories of transformation.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You want to talk about that and what motivated you to do it?
Yeah. So again, I think, so there are 11 people, who I found from across India. I think similar to what you are doing, that you want to know what's going on behind the eyeballs of each person, right? Like, and what's getting them where they're getting. So I did a lot of intensive research and I had like a whole questionnaire, and some of these billionaires, like, they're like, you are going to ask us questions. I was like, yeah. If you want to feature in my book, you have to go through my process, right? So it was a lot of fun because people who probably have never given an exam, like for all those years of their life and like, who are used to questioning people, I actually came up with this whole thing and I checked out everything. Like, and when they met all my parameters is when I decided that
vision kya tha?
The vision was that let's keep behind the eyeballs of 11 people
11 people.
who
Okay.
are living a very happily successful life.
Okay.
So
what
happiness,
brought them there?
yeah, from your age. So they had to be really, really healthy, wealthy, blissful, loving, and spiritual. And how do you even measure that?
Wow.
So I had like about 11 questions in each thing. I went, I talked to them, I asked them, I checked their background, and that's how I felt that they're relatively on the safer side of these 5 things. So it was amazing. I mean, the whole experience of, and I told them clearly that I'm going to come and live with you. So none of this will happen on
Oh,
Zoom.
you
and
stayed
all.
with them.
I stayed with them. I spoke to their drivers. I spoke to their wife. I spoke to their, teammates and everything to get the truth.
Which
I
was your
didn't want
favorite
to-
story?
Honestly, I don't have one. But I really get
Which one do you fondly
inspired.
remember? Yeah, inspired.
I think I get really inspired by Nitin Nyati.
Okay.
He's a builder in Pune who grew
Okay.
up in a chawl.
Mhm.
So the whole turnaround that he's probably for sure lives in the most beautiful house in Pune. I don't know if he's the richest man, but his house is like something out of dreams. And he's come from a chawl where he's lived with shared toilets. So I just wanted to know how that whole thing happened and what went on. And I mean, I was telling this to a bunch of friends yesterday that even when he was in the chawl, so everyone would wear whatever clothes, hand-me-downs, whatever would come.
Yeah.
He would be like, this is not for me. There used to be a costume shop
Yeah.
where they used to give costumes.
Yeah.
So he would go and get
Buy
the
the
prince
costume.
costume for that 5-10 rupees and say, please, mujhe pehne do thodi der. And he would dress up like a prince in a chawl.
Oh.
So imagine
the mindset.
Yeah. So I think
Interesting.
that excites me a lot because
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, we just had a coach before this, a growth coach, and she was talking about these hacks, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're, and I'm a coach myself.
Yeah.
So basically, for any shift or growth,
Yeah.
you need to reach to that stage, but there's a preparation required for it.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
for you to come out of your limiting beliefs, to prepare the
Absolutely.
skill and the will for it.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is actually he was preparing himself to
Then-
reach that stage some point in time in
Exactly.
life by doing this 5-minute hack.
Yeah.
चलो
Yeah.
पाँच
I want
पाँच
to be a
रुपए के लिए
prince.
आधे घंटे के लिए रेंट पे
Yeah.
ले लो.
Yeah.
I'll start feeling it.
I want to be a prince.
Hmm.
That's all. So
Hmm.
I like these breakthroughs. That's why it's called the breakthrough.
Hmm.
Like I wanted to know what made a Nitin
What
Nyati.
made
I
him.
wanted to know what made a Sandeep Agarwal. He's like the owner of Ratnadeep, which is a very big retail store.
Okay.
I think more than 200 stores in Hyderabad.
Okay.
Again, comes from a family where they didn't have chappals.
Acha.
They would sell sweets like, just take a basket on their head without chappal, go and sell.
Okay.
And today this. So for me, I get very fascinated with these
So
before
tell us a
and
story
after.
from that family.
Sandeep's.
Yeah.
So all of this and like a very angry man and actually got connected to Mahatria. So the one common thing that was there in
most of
all
them
these
are
11
connected.
is, yeah,
Okay.
they're following him or following something which gave them a spiritual breakthrough. So Sandeep, for him, Mahatria happened actually.
Okay.
Like he was at some 1 store, 2 store, completely stuck and Mahatria happened and today I think, I don't know the exact number, but 200 plus stores for sure.
Okay.
So yeah, so like I wanted to know what happens because I was experiencing things like these, right? And I wanted to also feel like I'm in the same energy field of these guys and it was so much fun. Like I just loved the whole experience.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, like when I said your life is a deep scripture,
Yeah.
because the work which you're doing is adding back to your spiritual growth in
It
this
is.
lifetime,
It is.
right? And in this life, you're completely working on your inner work,
Yeah,
but your outer work is also adding to the inner work.
it is.
So
It
which is
is.
very, very beautiful and empowering.
Yeah. Because in fact, I think I chose it like that. Like there were enough ad agencies who wanted to have me
I
as
can
their
imagine
writer.
because of the
but I was
command
like-
language and your
But I was
experience.
like, if I have to sell Coke when I don't believe in it, sorry, Coke, but it's just like
we love you.
an aerated drink, right? So I didn't want to write. I felt that's cheating. So till
it
date,
should
like,
resonate with you.
yeah, like I've had people say on my Insta page that we'll pay you this, and you just have to post 3 hours. I'm like, no, you let me use what you're doing. Let me see if it really resonates
Yeah,
with
and there
me.
are so many brands which
Yeah.
will resonate with what you're
With I'm doing,
who
and
you
then
are.
I'm more than happy to talk of you, but I will
Yeah.
not do it if I'm not convinced.
Sure.
Because that'll create a split. I won't
Dissonance.
sleep. Yeah.
And that duality you realized in your mid-20s only.
Yeah.
कि मुझे चाहिए ही नहीं.
Yeah. It's a very restless feeling. Like it makes you feel very horrible.
Happened post-meeting Matre or before?
So I was in a split before him.
Okay.
And then I found this.
Yeah.
And then every time I moved away from the center, it felt disturbed and restless.
So you knew कि वो.
And every time I came back, it felt aligned. So
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were much more aware of your alignment. And you wouldn't
Absolutely.
leave that for any reason in life.
No way. And he says, like Mahatria says, that as you start growing in success, there are 5 things that'll come to bite you. Sex, the opposite sex. So, you will have that attention and people fall for that.
Yeah.
Money, power, position, and so money, power, opposite sex, position. One more is there, but I'm remembering 4.
So,
but
they also called something, right?
Yeah,
these are
the
like
5 sins,
spiritual
something.
growth pe. These are illusions which will pull you back and blind you.
Yeah. I think attachment.
Attachment.
Yeah.
I've heard of this long ago.
Yeah.
And the more spiritually you grow, success, power follows you.
It does.
Chases you like crazy.
It does.
And that's a time you can actually get lost.
Yeah.
And then you go back and go back to
In
your
fact,
patterns.
Like, I think so many people, like the gurus, get lost after achieving that much. Is that adulation is so much that at one point the adulation starts mattering more than your sadhana. And that's when you fall. So
tricky.
Yeah. So not that I don't fall. I make ample of mistakes, but I think either I come back or he slaps me and I come back. So one of the two happens for sure.
Okay. So what is your connection with your master? It's like the closed circle mein aap inner circle mein ho.
Yeah.
Many organizations or foundations I've seen where people who are as aligned as you are, they're very close to the master. They're around him mostly.
I'm not actually.
You're not?
No. I don't think I don't share that much physical proximity with him as much as I would love.
Okay.
But I think there's a lot of spiritual proximity. So every time that I even have a wayward thought, from inside a voice comes and says, you could have thought better, na? And like in so much love, with so much humor, he'll correct me from within that. Like, how do you explain, right? Your mother's like with this whole thing and your sister's crying, they're saying this circle, that circle. And at that point, to be able to hear that voice means the connection's very strong. So I'm not in his physical, very close proximity, but I love him like crazy. And I think that love really keeps me very connected to him.
Sure.
And I feel his love all the time.
Lovely. तो मतलब inner world, outer world बोल नहीं सकते आपके केस में ubiquitous है.
Yeah.
It's all become one.
Yeah, I
right?
think
It's a one life.
Yeah.
Where your purpose is just one and everything has to be aligned to it.
In fact, if you really ask me, Shaija, I would say that too much proximity to your guru physically
is a distraction.
Is not good because you'll get attached. And I've gone through all that. Like at one point, I used to see him as my father. And I used to feel like, why can't he mail me back? Why can't he call me more?
You go through those phases.
All that childish emotions. And I think I've crossed. He's helped me. And now it's reached a point where it's like, I feel you everywhere. But I
it's
feel
also
you in
your own
everything.
growth on the path,
Yes,
maybe.
Yes.
And which is making you also be in unison, right?
I
with
think
whatever's
so.
happening rather than
and
chasing
in fact,
concepts.
When I'm not in unison, I know it. It doesn't feel
What
right
happens?
in my body.
What happens?
I'm
Illness?
uncomfortable.
Illness
is also a part of growing up, and I've watched an ill mother, so it is in my DNA to every now and then have my bouts of, oh, am I ill? And I've gone through all of that. So it's not like like I said, I'm not saying, I don't think anything has been that like easy for me, but everything's come. It's like that, So, but I've had to have my path towards it.
Hmm.
You know, like I see some lives where it just feels like they just got it right. I didn't.
Okay.
You know?
So you had to work towards
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
What is supporting all of this? What are the resources which is supporting it? Are you following any particular lifestyle, diet,
Yeah, absolutely.
friend circle?
Absolutely. Because I
Okay.
think when the more and more integrated you become, you can't separate one thing from the
Yeah.
other. You know,
Yeah.
so like honestly, I mean, right now it's been about 20 days that I've been on a no grain diet. You know, and just because like so a few days back I had this vertigo attack and I was like, what's happening? And I avoid medicines till as long as I
Okay.
can.
Okay.
And I try to heal myself naturally. And I
Okay.
realized that I was working so much on the world outside
Yeah.
and also absorbing a lot of people. And I wasn't focused enough on myself. So
Hmm.
the past 20 days I've just been on like no
Realigning.
grain, no sugar, very little salt, and just like finding my inner balance, you know. So diet, I've always luckily been a vegetarian. So that was never a duality that I see a lot of people go through, that
Yeah.
if you are, then do you have to leave? So that was always natural.
But what is your point of view? Are there people on the path you follow who are non-vegetarian as well?
Yeah, there are. But I would say
And
dominantly, I would say 80% is vegetarian.
does it help?
I think it definitely helps because everything's a vibration, right?
Yeah.
Like when an animal's being cut, it goes through immense fear. And when you eat that, you are inheriting the vibrations of that. Whereas, so people are like, oh, but don't you hurt the plant? It's one sensed. So it's easier. It's not going through intense fear. The spinach isn't going through intense fear when it's getting cut.
And I think the consciousness level is
much
different.
lesser.
Yeah.
So when you're consuming an animal, you are consuming the whole vibration of that animal. So, and the simple biologically, you're not designed like your stomach's.
Digestive system is not designed.
So I eat very light. I don't eat post 7 most days, and I love green teas. I'm very naturally, and see, none of these have been very like conscious choices. It's like the deeper and deeper you steep into meditation, I think so much of wrong or heavy starts just dropping off by itself, and you start naturally. Like yoga wasn't something like I decided one day, but it just happened, and yoga has been like a way of life forever, you know. So I think things happen to you in a very beautiful
So alignment starts
happening. Yeah.
When duality drops.
Yes.
And it's also a lot of inner work you need to do. Like what you're saying, it's not कि easy नहीं होगा.
Yeah.
आपको right choices right time पे लेनी पड़ेगी.
और
नहीं तो
घड़ी लेनी पड़ेगी.
Keep dropping back.
Yes.
Right? To your old patterns.
Yeah. Until you reach a point where you just flip over. Like it becomes your DNA. Like I don't think any of us wake up and think, should I brush today?
Correct.
So till it becomes that
level.
Yeah. So my thing is right now to reach myself in that level where, say, health, like it's been a thing. Like my dad is super, super fit. So he's 75 and he does 100 laps and
wow,
he is crazy, like yoga, 4 o'clock. He's mad, okay?
Very
and
nice.
Mom, I've seen her unwell from the time I was 23. 23 to the time that she left. I've only seen a mother, like, of course, you know, she had huge patches, but there was always a background of, you know. So there is a duality in me where sometimes I go through like, oh God, am I ill? Do I have something? You know, I go through it. I don't want to like deny it or say, oh. And then the higher just takes over. Come on.
So you have to keep basically feeding that higher energy enough so that the lower energy doesn't take over.
Yes. So I'm in that phase where I'm working to become like that brushing. Like I want health to be like brushing. I'm reaching there. Yeah.
What is your routine in the morning?
Routines, I wake up. I do a lot of like meditation and gratitude, and I have a beautiful deck. Okay, like it's really a God's grace. So I do my yoga there. And
lovely.
I'm just watching the whole thing around and the sea. I can see the sea. So it's just.
So your terrace is back.
Yeah. It's literally like that. Like this new home that we've shifted to. It feels like mom's hug. Like somehow it feels like she's back and everything's back. So I just love this new house. But yeah, so it's.
So how much time do you take out for yourself in the morning?
A minimum. In fact, that's what I was not doing. Like the first thing I was doing, I had a massive launch of the book that I
Yeah.
gave you, and
Yeah.
a lot of things were going on. So I was so on the outside that I could feel that something shifted, and I was like, the first thing I was doing was touching my phone as I was waking up, and sometimes you get lost, right? Like I was checking Insta pe kitna aaya, Facebook pe kitna aaya, you get
So
into
old
those
patterns.
traps.
These
Yeah.
are the traps.
And then I was like, and suddenly that vertigo will come and it'll remind me, boss, kuch to misalignment ho gaya hai. So now I'm like back to 1 hour minimum before I touch my phone.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, coming back to your platform you launched, Wow.
Yeah.
What is it about?
So Wow has 4 verticals. One, it's called Wonders of Words, which is what I believe in, that words can really create wonders for you. And especially words which steep from deep silence, I think have a lot of power. So one is where we've created a curriculum for schools. It's called Wow 3Ls. It's
Okay.
language, life, and leadership skills.
Okay.
And it's all about everything that we're talking about, bringing that in the form of stories, activities, poems for children at a younger age, so that they don't have to go through the whole
Life
unlearning.
skills.
Yeah. So
Very
it's
nice.
very focused on that. So, like, to give you an example, one activity is like, go and sit next to that one child who you don't like
Acha.
and ask him these questions.
Oh.
And by default, it ends up being so profound for both the children.
Oh.
Things
As
like
an experience.
this. Very different experiential stuff that
Very
we do
nice.
with them. And
Very
it's
nice.
amazing. So right now we have
So
about
storytelling क्या कर रहे हो इसमें?
so I write a lot of stories.
Okay.
We create a lot of content.
You have characters?
So, totally. All of them. So
Okay, so this reminds me of, like, we just had Pooja on the show. They have launched a platform called Emomi,
okay.
which is Emomi are the 3 characters.
Okay.
And taking those characters, they keep creating content on YouTube. And then they have like all this educational material which is available.
So cute.
And eventually, schools are also taking interest in
Yeah,
what they're
yeah.
trying to do.
Yeah.
But that's great, yeah, because
Yeah.
that's exactly what's required for
So things that
students
I
today.
felt was missing in my growing up is
Yeah.
why would I need to go and bunk and sit on that terrace? So
Yeah.
so things like that, try to bring it, and we're at about
Mm.
20,000 children right now across
Lovely.
India, which
Beautiful.
I want to grow it much more.
So life skills, and I think that's exactly what's required.
Yes.
The schools are giving what they have to, but life skills is what the kids would really require going ahead in the
They
world
do.
we are stepping in, which is going to be
Absolutely.
very challenging. And it's also broken in a fragmented world we are giving them, right? Because it's nuclear families now.
Absolutely.
It's not the same culture and same values
That we
there,
grew up
which
in.
we grew up.
Yeah.
So this is brilliant work. Tell us more about it.
So yeah, I mean, I just wish to every educator watching this
Yes.
that I wish you would be a little more open to this, because this is so important. Like, I've had to really push my way through, and I wish it wasn't this tough to convince people that your child need this, because I've been doing it for 13 years, and the impact has been to the extent of preventing suicides,
Wow.
and bullying has come down, and self-awareness and expressions have grown. So, and I'm not saying this because it's mine. Do anything but do it. That is for me the most important thing. So I think everything that I lacked or missed, I think one beautiful quality that I've always had is that if there's something missing in my life, I want to do something to ensure it doesn't miss in others. I don't feel jealous. I don't feel envy. I don't feel like usko kyun mila. I'm just like, hey, ye problem ab isko solve karo. That's been like, I have a lot of flaws, but this has been a gift that I'm able to channelize my scarcities or my losses
Into positivity.
into something, and by the end I feel like I got it all, so
wow.
So it's been pretty incredible.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So just double click on this one.
Like, say health. Okay, for example, I think we all have our little struggles or little things that come up, and I think for me it's like every time I go through a phase where I'm a little low on health, I'll start helping people around health. So I do this also Wow online writing and healing workshop, where I get like a chance to weekly mentor about a 40 ka group, whatever,
Sure.
very one-on-one. So right now, literally from 3 weeks, I've been talking about health to them. And I've always seen that the more, suppose you feel a lack and you stay in that lack, then it keeps deepening and growing for you. But in that lack, if you can still focus on something more, like a Nitin Yati who in that chawl went and wore a prince dress. So when you're unhealthy, when you talk of health, you just stay with health and you help people with health. I think it helps you to rise up and feel like, oh, I'm so healthy. Because you can only give what you have, right? So I trick my subconscious mind in a way to believe that I have it and I'll do it. You know,
Lovely,
it's like that.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And like us, beautiful. Another example is that everyone told me writers won't earn. You cannot earn money through writing. Chhod do. You know, and I know I'm talking to a content creator, but that was what it was, at least in the world I lived in. And everyone's like, royalty to yani is nothing. It's not even like going to cover one breakfast, things like this. In that, I was always like, I'm not going to buy into your stuff. You know, this is all. So even though 30 people who I looked up to said it to me, I never bought into it.
Okay.
And my dad's a gold medalist from IIT. Okay. So he was like, IIT karna hai tumko, you know, like you have to be an engineer. Sister's a doctor. So when this curly haired person went and told them I want to be an author, they're like, वो क्या होता है, you know, ये क्या करना है, Sunday को लिखो ना आराम से, you know, like that kind of thing. And my dad's like really like a best friend for me, but somehow he was very adamant that I shouldn't become a writer. And then I was like, no, I always have this like, looking at me in my head, I'm like, I'll show you, Papa. I will show you.
Challenge.
And not in a way of like arrogance, but very like, Dad, I know something is telling me, please listen to me. And at, I think 28, I bought my first Mercedes with the money I'd earned only out of writing.
Wow.
And I didn't tell my dad. I told him, come down.
Amazing.
And I made him sit next to me. And I was like, I'm going to drive. And he's like, Aata hai na? I'm like, ha. And I was driving and we were just driving around and just tears were rolling down his eyes. And, you know, and I can never forget that moment because and there was no like, oh, wow. You know, it was just such a like, Papa khush ho gaya, you know, that. So I always feel that anytime you're going through a phase where you're really feeling lack, you do something to cheat your subconscious mind, you know, and get out of that.
Yeah.
So, like I said, like health's been something like from 3 weeks. So now I'm like, I'll take the action. Like I've gone no grain. I've done this. I've done that. And I'll cheat my mind. Like I'll just be like, I'm so, you know, this. And I don't know when I start believing that and I again start flowing.
Again,
So,
because it becomes a trigger for you to shift from that position. Instead of taking a position of lack,
yes,
you have started taking a position of abundance.
Like I just flip it. Yeah.
I think मेरे साथ भी कुछ ऐसा ही हो रहा है.
Yeah.
तो मैं नेगेटिविटी में dwell ही नहीं कर पा रही हूँ.
Yeah.
So अगर कुछ नेगेटिव होगा, let's say with me or around me,
Yeah.
quickly I need something positive or like, you know, wisdom or something positive to be done.
Yeah.
So it is like वो दान पात्र होता है ना, ये नेगेटिव हो गया. अभी जल्दी जल्दी मूव करो.
Yeah.
And मुझे नहीं पता ये मतलब this maybe, you know, internally this lack to abundance, my brain is trying to trick and learn this entire thing.
Yeah.
But I've been doing it.
Yeah.
I just cannot dwell anymore in lack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I just feel time is limited, time खत्म हो रहा है.
Yeah.
You know, we're not on this planet forever.
Yeah.
इसमें फंस जाओगे तो फिर, you know, time will get wasted.
Yeah.
So quickly I move, very quickly.
Yeah.
Which people wouldn't know, but internally I have moved on.
Yeah.
External में behavior patterns with certain people will be still be the same, right?
But
internally I have
know,
taken a shift completely.
Like recently someone really hurt me about something very stupid, but I felt a lot of hurt and I was like, if I dwell in this, it's just going to draw more. Literally, like it was a mental flip and I was like, I just visualize I'm hugging that person, loving her, saying I completely forgive you. You forgive me. You know, I must have done something to you for this karma to happen that you have to do something so stupid to me. And like literally, it's out of head, out of mind. And like she'll keep on checking my, you know, story, this, that. I'm like, who's this? Like, you know, it's like, it's not even like, and sometimes like when I'm writing, I feel like, isko kuch to main chob hu, you know, like I should say something. And literally my hands are like, is she even worth that much energy of yours? Are you even going to use these divine words for her, and it just drops off. So I think we have to learn
Trick it.
ways to flip and
So my
change
sister
things.
taught me something very interesting, and she's
Yeah.
also a coach, NLP, and she teaches people Ho'oponopono,
Yeah.
which
I just
is
love it.
what? I'm
Thank
sorry,
you,
please
yeah.
forgive me. Thank you, I
and
love you. Right?
Yeah.
It's very powerful.
Very, very
It's
powerful.
extremely powerful because
Very.
in between this shift,
Yeah.
like negative हो रहा है,
Yeah.
आप छोड़ के भी नहीं जा सकते
Yeah.
हो because वो karmically कुछ
Yeah.
वहाँ पे connection होगा.
Yeah.
If you do this Ho'oponopono,
Yeah.
do it till the time that energy releases, and then you move on anyway
Yeah.
because you're moving more to the positive,
Absolutely.
to the abundance.
Yeah.
So it could be that hack.
Yeah. And like a very strong action. So like luckily with Mahatria, he keeps sharing a lot about his life. So there have been times, like there was a time when he was very financially low and things weren't going the way it should and all. So what does he do? He decides, like there's some barely money in the bank, and he's like, I'm going to meet entrepreneurs and I'm going to, with my sacred hands, give 100 entrepreneurs some 11, cut check to
Acha.
just they say it's abundance.
Okay.
And after that, he's like, I've never, like it's just flooding. So I think I also do that. Like whenever I'm feeling a little like whatever, I'm like, I'll flip it, and I'm telling, it just starts happening. Like,
Beautiful,
so I love
isn't it?
Yeah, I get very excited about all this. It's like,
just for the
such a
audience, the Ho'oponopono is actually a prayer.
Yeah.
And if you say that, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And you say it as many number of times as possible till that
Yeah.
negative feeling releases, goes away.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very powerful, and you can learn it online as well, or
Yeah.
through a NLP or some teachers who are teaching it. But
And just one more hack, if I may,
please.
like I am all about writing and words. So like really, I mean, I would tell the audience that, write about something like it's a reality.
It's
And-
it's happened.
Yeah, like so whatever you're looking at, you're looking for a good relationship, you're looking for health, you're looking for wealth, and you write it like, I'm so grateful that I have this. So like a small example, it's not actually that small, but 4 years ago, so I have a vision board, and 4 years ago I just wrote that I'm living in a sea facing duplex. And in Bombay, I don't even know that a sea facing duplex exists. Like it didn't sound like, only if you're like that, you live
Understood.
in that.
Yeah.
In my budget, I don't know how it's all worked out, but I'm living in a sea facing duplex. And it just happened. So I think, I mean, a lot of people say that this works and you can magnetize and, this, that. But when you see it happening, then it's not theory. It is truth.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of hard work, guys. Like, not that, Hare, you sleep with, I'm going to wake up in a sea facing duplex, and you wake up, you bloody slog your ass off.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely. That goes without saying.
Sometimes like nowadays, a lot of youngsters like, I'm magnetizing. I'm like, bus, yaar, aisa nahi hota hai. You please get up.
What is
move
this
your ass.
magnetizing? Sorry, I haven't heard.
Like this only, manifesting, magnetizing is all the same
Magnetizing
terms.
is also another.
So Mahatria talks of like, he says everything like a human is a magnet.
Okay,
and what you attract and draw. So
secret.
So he talks of it in terms of magnet. And
Nice.
Yeah. So I have like, I work a lot with youngsters, and like they'll be eating a pizza. I'm magnetizing health, ma'am. I'm like, nahi hoga, mat karo ye sab, like. So I think it's really misunderstood also.
Yeah.
You have to really go through the drill. You know, it's not like, even Ambani didn't become Ambani like overnight. So please.
Bilkul. Beautiful, yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So what's next for you?
Movies.
Really?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Like, I've had some producers also be interested in some of my ideas, but something in me, my own inner reluctance, and I'm realizing my own inner mixed emotions and chatter that this industry is not good. कुछ ना कुछ होगा in me that has resisted and
but अभी तो बहुत अच्छा कमाल का काम हो रहा है.
Yeah.
And it's 12th fail and
it's the
amazing
time.
stuff.
Yeah.
Going
So
on,
12th fail is like that was iconic for me. I think I watched it 16 times. Like for me, I can't, if I like something, I have to keep watching it like until it enters my system. And I think it was brilliant, right?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff I want to do, and I'm excited to see.
So you're
what
writing right now.
happens. I've already written a couple of
Okay.
scripts. I'm
Okay.
waiting for things to happen, and it will happen.
Lovely.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Yeah, thank
And we
you.
wish you all the success with that.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so before we let you go, we have very interesting quick bites for you with your tea.
Sure.
Yeah, which we are calling soul sparks for you. Okay,
Nice.
a word that describes your soul right now.
Purple.
Purple.
Yeah.
A book you return to when you need grounding.
40 Rules of Love.
Hmm.
I just love it.
Why?
I think anytime I'm lost, I'm actually a little lost or not aligned to love in some way. And one of those rules will get me aligned and I'll get back.
So it's a good alignment, realignment
Yes.
book. A mantra or a prayer that never fails you.
I am abundance.
One habit that changed your life forever.
Yoga.
What's one thing people misunderstood about sensitivity?
That it's wrong or it's bad to be too sensitive. I think the more sensitive you are, the faster you grow in your spiritual journey.
A place where your mind becomes silent, besides the terrace.
I was just going to say my terrace, but HDB with Mahatria, Higher, Deeper, Beyond, the spiritual retreat. I'm going on the 4th and I can't wait.
That glow on your face.
Yeah.
If your childhood self could see you today, what would you say to your 7-year-old self?
I would say you're awesome.
Oh,
You're a
I'll
rock
hug your
star.
7-year-old self.
I'll just tell her, you don't need to fit in. You're meant to be exactly like this. Don't even try to be like anyone else.
A teacher, living or divine, you wish to thank today.
Mahatria.
One emotion you are learning to befriend.
Vibrancy. Like even when I've been really healthy, when I feel like at the top of the world, I think vibrancy is something that I want to get. Yeah.
What's a joy you are fiercely protective of?
Just being with my daughter. Oh my God.
Unparalleled.
When she snuggles to me with the small, small arms and legs, and she puts her legs and she, holds on. It's like, please stop. Like, I just want everything about life to stop in those moments.
Beautiful. Yeah. Define love in one sentence.
Actually, the famous quote of Hafiz, which has really impacted my life, is that even after all this time, the sun never told the earth, you owe me. Look what happens with a love like that. It lights up the whole sky.
Wow.
I think that's just been
very deep and warm.
Yeah.
One writing ritual you'll never give up.
Writing my emails to Mahatria.
A lesson motherhood taught you instantly.
Patience.
Yeah. Slow living in one word.
Just breathe in. Breathe.
The breakthrough that changed your life in one line.
Meeting Mahatria for the first time.
Lovely. Lovely. Unstoppable spirit, what does it mean in your words?
It just means this to me, that two women can meet, look into each other's eyes for almost 2 hours.
Yeah, almost.
And find such deep connect, such resonance. There were times where I was really moved to tears in my own, like recalling of some moments. So to me, this is unstoppable women.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for gracing today's episode with your presence, your energy, your time, and sharing your life, which has been rich, and meeting a very evolved spiritual person like you. It's been an honor for me. Thank you so much.
And I feel absolutely the same way. So